Welcome back to Season 2, Episode 3 of Offbeat with Christian Winfield. Chris, how are we doing?
What up? I am, well, All-Star break is over. We had to make the trek out to Tarrytown from Brooklyn, so you know how that goes. But we got some good Knicks developments. We got some interesting developments as well that we're going to get into. But I'm excited to see this team, after a week's worth of rest, come out after the All-Star break, and you start to have some of these pieces come back to the rotation, which we're going to get into. I'm excited. How you feeling, Charlotte?
I'm good. You know, I wish I enjoyed my All-Star break from the Knicks, but wish I got to see Kat and Jalen a little bit more in the All-Star game, which we'll talk about. That was really interesting to see Mr. Beast, like basically a YouTube video, be the halftime show, and Jello performing, and Wemby trying to break the skills challenge. So it was a very interesting weekend, I would say.
There were more, and since we're talking about it now, there were more sideshows to the All-Star game and the All-Star events than actual events. There were more like commercials and side attractions than actual All-Star minutes played. I think you talked about it in our pre-meeting. We don't even call it a pre-meeting. You were just touching on it. Jalen Brunson played 9 minutes as an All-Star starter. Like, what are we doing? Like, the system is clearly broken. And there were some ideas that I heard about making it international versus US again, and kind of playing with that. I think that might be a way to get guys into it. But even when it was world versus USA, they weren't even taking it that serious then. So we'll see. The All-Star weekend it needs some fixing. But shout out to the guys that got some rest. I sure did.
Shout out to the guys that got rest. Well, look, Josh Hart got rest and now he's injured, which we will talk about. But on top of today's show, also, if you're not subscribed to us on YouTube, these are where the episodes usually are. We are sometimes live streaming. We will be bringing guests on, which we're very excited about. But go follow.
Oh, wait, time out, Charlotte. Do you see what came in the mail?
Oh,
yeah, we're building it out in the background.
Okay.
It's draped over my TV, but baby steps. We got it.
Fire. So
shout out to the good folks at Slam.
Shout out to Slam. We just interviewed their editor-in-chief. If you want to check out that episode about the behind the scenes on what went on with Kat, you can check up our YouTube channel at Offbeat with Christian Winfield. Please go subscribe. If you show me proof that LTK will follow you back, okay?
Okay.
So if you DM proof that you've subscribed right now, go put it in our DMs and I'll get to you after our show. But on today's top of the show, Chris, why the curious case of Mitchell Robinson and OG Anunoby. Mitchell Robinson is cleared for 5-on-5. OG Anunoby is practicing with no restrictions. Where are we at with this right now? You're there, you're in Tarrytown. Like, is OG possibly playing tomorrow? Is Mitchell Robinson closer than we thought? Personally, I think he's not coming back till March. I don't know anything. You're the beat reporter, but where are we with this? Because that's all the fans want to know right now. We got fans crashing out. Shout out to Jay in the chat, said timelines are full of crash outs right now, which is true. They say Mitch is never coming back till April. Talk about what's going on, Chris.
April is I would be very, very surprised if Mitch didn't make his return until April. Let's start at the top. OG Anunoby. I would expect OG to play tomorrow or whenever you're watching this, Thursday, against the Bulls. This is a guy who was questionable for the last 2 games leading into the break. I noticed that the Knicks like to list him questionable whether or not he's going to play or not. Like, those last 2 games leading into the break, there was no way he was going to play in those games. Now you've got a week-long layoff for a guy who missed the last 5 games with a right foot injury or a toe injury, depending on what you're believing in terms of what the Knicks have listed on the injury report versus what Shams and others are reporting. I'm going to go what's on the injury report, which is a right foot injury. He's been out since February 1st with that. And now we're getting to the point where, hey, you just had a week off. You just missed these 5 games. This is a guy who was warming up with the intention of playing in the final game against the Hawks before the break. Didn't play then. It wouldn't have made sense. This Bulls game would be a nice game to ease him back into, just to get into the flow. But you also have to consider the Knicks are coming right out of the All-Star break into a back-to-back. Right, which is why the Josh Hart news is also something worth reading into a little bit differently, because it's a right knee thing that he's been dealing with all year, but do you also want to play him in both games of a back-to-back, or do you want to strategically have him available for the Cleveland game, right? So OG, in terms of availability, this is just me. I don't know for sure that he's playing. I would anticipate that he does suit up and play on Thursday against Chicago. Mitchell Robinson, I don't, but he's already been listed out. I didn't have the expectation that he'd be available immediately after, just because you don't really want to throw him right into the fire after All-Star break, coming into a back-to-back. I think what you said, Charlotte, of leaning closer into March makes a little bit more sense. But judging from what guys are saying, that Tibbs is saying he's moving around while he's playing 5-on-5. There's contact. There's no real restriction on him. Now it's just got to get his conditioning up. Got to get used to, you can't really get into basketball game shape without playing basketball. So he's got to work his way into conditioning wise. But guys are already talking. You have a guy like Jalen who's saying, "Hey, we already know what Mitch brings. Let's not all act like Mitch is brand new. We know that he's going to be a dominant rim protector, dominant offensive rebounder, vertical lob threat." And then you got Karl-Anthony Towns saying, "Hey, I used to play alongside Rudy. I'm expecting it to be something like that. Now we can get more versatile." Charlotte, I've said this. Mitch can kind of solve some of these rotation issues because sure, you might not have depth on the wing, right? You might be playing OG and Josh and Mikal 48 minutes, right? That might be how it goes. But if you have Mitch in there, now you can move Josh to the bench for some of those minutes. You can kind of play around with these lineups where now you're giving guys a break here or there because you have a big man coming back to the rotation, even though it's not a wing. That's kind of a nice little addition to get you to loosen up your rotation a little bit. So I think Mitch comes in, solves a lot more issues than just adding depth in the front court. And then on top of that, Deuce practice too. Deuce practice as well after coming out of the last game against the Hawks with a rib injury. He's playing as well. So you've got this team that's, as close to 100% as they've been all year. And then you have a random, injury report where Josh is out with what they're calling it's a weird name, but at its essence, it's like runner's knee or jogger's knee. It's something that just, which you would expect for a guy who leads the NBA in minutes coming into the All-Star break to have. But I think Josh is a guy who wants to play through it, and he's going to be okay. We don't know. I mean, this has been something that we've seen him have, knee swelling in the same knee different times across the season. So we'll see what he looks like. We'll see what happens in terms of both of these games of the back-to-back. We don't know. Could be playing against Cleveland, could not. But this is something else we got to monitor. So crawling closer to fully healthy, but it's kind of like 2 steps forward, 1 step back, 2 steps forward, 1 step back. Kind of want to get all 3 steps forward just to see where this team is. But everyone's excited coming out of the All-Star break. Everyone's, as healthy as they've been. I'm excited to see what it looks like.
So to recap, Chris expects OG to play tomorrow.
Yes.
Mitch a little bit.
Don't like, that's not gospel. That's not like he could sit out theoretically, but just my read on the situation.
Yeah. No.
I would expect OG to be playing against the Bulls on Thursday.
Got it. Okay. Yeah. But getting OG back is a huge thing for the Knicks. I think it's a huge, bet. But also I think the problem with Mitch, it's like this guy's had 2 ankle injuries and it's a lot. Like, I don't think, and we've talked about this before, this fan base, I don't know where the office is at with him, but I don't know if they could go, God forbid, with another injury to Mitch. Like, genuinely at this point, it's like another, like, I don't wish injury on anyone, Chris, right? Yeah. But can the guys stay healthy? I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's really tough when you consider and this is the way the team is built, right? The team is constructed in a way where you got to rely on your main guys to play heavy minutes. This isn't Orlando. This isn't OKC where you could go, this isn't Indiana where you got 11 or 12 players that you could throw on the floor and play. Like Cleveland, for example, Donovan Mitchell's playing 31 minutes a game. If the Knicks play Jalen Brunson 31 minutes a game, I don't know, they would not have this record that they have right now, right? So you kind of got to take it with a grain of salt. But at the same time, I wanted to circle back on your point about OG real quick about how important he was. Before he went down, the Knicks weren't the best defensive team. They're middle of the road, right? For those last 5 games, dead last in defensive efficiency for those last 5 that OG was out, right? You gave up 148 to the Hawks. You gave up 131 to the Celtics. Had a couple other games where things just looked off. Like OG really ties a lot of these things together. I'm really, really interested to see what this OG, Mitch, maybe Precious or Cat lineup looks like, where you could go big or you can go small. That's one of my favorite things about OG. And this is what other coaches have said about playing the Knicks. The way Tibbs uses them, you can't really tell if the Knicks are playing big or playing small because OG can kind of play any way at any time. So he gives them a little bit of ambiguity and lets them be versatile. I like that a lot for them. So getting him back, getting Mitch back maybe sometime in March. I think that's a reasonable expectation is him to be back sometime early March. Who knows? He could surprise us and come back for the Cleveland game. I don't see that happening though. So we'll
I
see.
think
But
he needs more reps with 5 on.
yeah, 100%. I wouldn't expect him to play in that game either.
Did
I
you
think what were we saying?
did you guys get to talk to him today or no?
No. He wasn't available. Josh wasn't available either. And now we
Okay,
see why Josh wasn't available because a couple of hours after practice goes, they update the injury report. So
that makes
crazy.
sense. So Miles is good now,
Yeah,
right?
Deuce is good to go. He'll be yeah.
Okay, good. Because I think Miles is like so important to the bench, especially with the depth, the least amount of depth that the Knicks have right now. And we see guys from Westchester, Chris.
Mm-hmm.
Moses Brown just got signed, which was to the Dallas Mavericks for a 10-day contract. Okiki was just with the 76ers.
Yeah.
Warren is still there. Now, the Knicks, we know this, that they're probably going to sign someone soon, right?
Yeah.
They have, I don't know, there was rumors of like DeLon Wright getting a buyout, which was confusing to me because like you don't even know what you have in him right now, but you just want to waive him. I personally want to see TJ Warren on this team. I do. The Knicks need a scoring punch off their bench. And I know everyone is talking about how, G League numbers are inflated. You can't trust them. Like, this is not NBA talent. But these guys can still play. It's not like they're playing pickup at Rucker Park. Let's be honest here. These guys can play. But shout out to the 3-time now slam dunk champion Mac McClung, who plays for the Magic's G League team. So, there is talent there.
I mean, there's talent all over, right? Like the Sixers just went and signed Lonnie Walker. I thought Lonnie Walker was a guy who should have never been out the NBA. He's a guy who fits a lot of teams' mold. So we know with the Knicks, the salary cap situation, once you get capped out and then hard capped at that second apron and you only got $500,000 in between the second apron, you got to be real strategic as to when you can even use that money. And then on top of that, who you go after. Right. So we know that it's looking like February 28th, March 1st in terms of when this team actually pulls the trigger and signs somebody. But from there, you got to make sure who you sign is the right person because you really only get one chance to get this right. And especially with the end of the roster player right now that you're banking on to potentially be able to give you some minutes. I mean, you could look at TJ. You could look at, we've seen reports out there that Chris Duarte has signed a deal with the Knicks. I can't confirm that report. So we'll see what happens there. But I mean, what type of play when you think of, and I'm gonna flip this question on you, Shai. When you think of the mold of player that this team needs off the bench, what comes to mind? Is it a scoring forward? Is it a versatile? I think we saw Javonte Green sign with the Cavaliers. Yeah, like that's a great fit. What's the mold of player? Talk about Cleveland. I mean, they had DeAndre Hunter, added DeAndre Hunter, and now they get Javonte Green. I mean, that's tough. What do you guys think in terms of the addition? Right? What's the mold of player that you think would benefit the bench most?
I think it needs to be a forward 100%. And I think it needs to be a tall forward. I don't know how tall Chris Duarte is. He's not.
I think he's 6'5". Let's check right now.
Yeah, he's 6'4", 6'5".
He's 6'4". Okay, 6'4", 6'5". I'm not personally, maybe not.
6'5".
I think I need someone that has a good, I don't need a spectacular defense off the bench, but I need someone like in the Landry Shamet role with what they thought they were going to get in production-wise from Landry. Right now, I get it. He's coming back from the shoulder, whatever, still trying to find his footing. I think it really is just sitting there in Westchester. We've seen teams basically cherry pick off the Westchester Knicks team all season.
Yeah.
All season. And the Knicks are not doing anything about it. Why is that? I don't know. Maybe because of their cap situation. Maybe
100% because there's no maybe. If the Knicks could have signed somebody before, I think they would have. But because they're so hard up against the hard cap right now, you can't. So just the wiggle room right there isn't there. There will be a little bit more in terms of how contracts are reflected towards the payroll after whether it is February 28th or March 1st. But until then, I wouldn't expect to see the Knicks sign anybody for the next week.
Chris, I had a question about the buyout, not the buyout market, but if we are buying out DeLon Wright, does that create any cap space for us?
That's a tough. I don't think so, which is why I'm a little because we've seen that happen before. We've seen contract buyouts in the past that don't necessarily create cap space right away for you, right? So I've got to look into that a little more, but I don't.
I know with the Jericho Sims trade, right? They saved a little over $4,000. Let's just call it that.
$4,000.
Yeah.
Charlotte, that's like
no, wait. We're getting here. Stay with me on the trail, okay? We're walking down the trail. So apparently, instead of March 1st, according to Hoops Rumors, who is a website online, they can now sign someone on February 28th because they saved those $4,000. So now they can sign someone a little earlier because of saving $4,000.
I didn't know that. If that was true or not, I just
we'll have to look at that.
But I was a little bit surprised that Jericho didn't just go to a team that can kind of absorb his salary and us be able to go. And I know there's a lot of people crashing out over not getting Javonte Green. He was a darling, like, for a lot of people. I mean,
that was a layup. Like, literally standing there. That is the type of player. And I tweeted, I said, this is the type of player Tom would like.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to crash out about it.
It's over. It's over.
But it does suck to be in position finally after, like, all of our fandom. Like, we've watched the Knicks and watch other teams grab these buyout players, and we're never in position to even do it because we don't have the cap. We're just not in position ever. So now that maybe we're still not in position.
Also, Chris, did you ever get an update on Pacome Daddier? I know a lot of people, like, it's very confusing. Like, like, he's been out. Now he's playing for the G League. He had a toe injury. So
yeah, he's listed as out on G League assignment right now. Okay. So if he was injured, he's not injured anymore. But he's a guy that I feel like should have been getting minutes at a higher level, not in Westchester, right? From day one. I feel like if you're going to take somebody in the first round, pick number 25, and you have a clear need for wing minutes, right? Even if he's a guy that maybe isn't ready at this point and you don't even play him in the playoffs, throw him on the floor early just to see. Like, right now, we know if you put him on the floor, he ain't ready, right? So, but again, 6'7", 6'8", he's a guy who's got size, positional size. It's just the IQ probably isn't there. The court awareness probably isn't there, but you know, exactly. What do you expect?
I mean, Grimes got burned.
Yeah,
it's crazy. It's unbelievable.
But Grimes defended.
He defended his ass.
The reason Miles got minutes and found his way into the rotation and stayed with the Knicks and was an important piece because he also played defense. Are we seeing that? If you don't play defense, you're not getting minutes. And that's why we have fans screaming for Tyler Kolek and Pacome.
But I mean, I think Pacome has shown us that he plays defense. Does he do it at the clip that Tibbs wants to see in practice? I don't know. That's the real question. He clearly doesn't think he's ready because he played QG, and QG is, shout out to QG. He's still one of the top defenders in the league. He is.
Yep.
Okay, so I have an update on the cap hit thing.
Oh, there we go.
So basically what happens is, depending on what the buyout number is, so we have here Delon Wright. His cap hit right now is 2.087, which is what Jericho Sims' contract was. But if they were to agree to a buyout worth, I don't know, $1 million, then the difference would be created in cap space, right? So that would leave 1.087 million off the cap that the Knicks can then use to go sign a free agent. So theoretically, if they were to agree with a buyout with Delon Wright for if he's under contract for 2.1, right, and they agree to a buyout with him for 1.1, then that would create an extra $1 million worth of space. Granted, everything is prorated now because we're midway through the season, but that's how that would work. So it depends on what he's willing to leave on the table in a buyout, but it would create extra cap space that the Knicks could then use to sign somebody. So there's an answer to that one.
There you go.
That's interesting. I just don't know what their plans are for Delon Wright. Like, was he, just the throw in?
Well, there were like these players.
I would have loved to see that. I know there were multiple teams
thrown around.
There were multiple teams interested. It was reported that there were multiple teams interested in Jericho Sims. I would have loved if the other offers just leaked somehow on what the Knicks were also, because why not get a second round? Jericho Sims, you can get a second round pick.
I mean, we didn't.
But I'm saying there were other offers on the table. You got Hugo Bassan, who I was going crazy for when they traded for, because, like, It's not as Fred Katz would say, it's not a Knicks trade without getting international prospects back.
Right.
Yeah.
But no, like I don't know. The injury on February 28th, it's going to be a very, very interesting day.
Yeah.
I put my money on TJ Warren 1000%, but I'm confused who they have an open spot, but I wonder maybe if they try and waive someone. I don't know.
It's possible. I mean, to this point, we haven't seen Delon Wright play any meaningful minutes yet, right? We haven't seen him really in minutes that matter, which I think is expected of a guy who just landed. And we know Tibbs doesn't really play guys that many minutes on the outside of the rotation. But it's also going to be a matter of who's available on the market. We know that, and who gets bought out, right? Like we don't know who's going to end up being a free agent over the next couple of weeks. So there's time. We do know the Knicks can't sign anyone who was making 12.8 or more million this season because of where they are with the CBA. So it's gonna be tough, but this is what happens when you trade 5 picks for Mikal Bridges and you go sign OG Anunoby to a $212.5 million deal and you give Jalen Brunson a contract extension and then you trade for Cat who makes close to $50 million a year. Like you're gonna be capped out. So here we are.
It's crazy how much money Cat's making. I'm not saying he doesn't deserve it. I'm just saying how much money he makes is crazy.
Well, that's why he's here, because clearly Minnesota did not want to pay that.
Yeah.
Crazy. And now Minnesota, who knows, like, Dante's injured, but I don't want to touch on Minnesota. But I want to talk a little bit about this upcoming stretch that the Knicks have, right?
Yeah.
You got Chicago. We'll see what's going on with injuries. You got Cleveland. And you got Boston on Sunday. Out of those 3 games, guys, what are the Knicks going? I say 2-1.
Oh, what's the 2?
Chicago and Boston.
Oh, so you think they're gonna go to Boston and win in Boston?
Yep.
Matinee game, 1 p.m. tip off.
And I will post this when it happens.
Well, it's
let me just get this straight. So after watching them lose by 30 twice,
yes, I'm very confident in my Knicks.
Okay.
They're gonna lose to Cleveland.
Chris, what do you think, man?
He says 0-3. Watch.
I think the Knicks will beat the Bulls on Thursday. I think that's a fair.
We got one.
I think that's. I mean, the Bulls also play fast. The Bulls beat this team already once, so that game could go either way. Cleveland and Boston, they got to show me that they can beat this team, right? Cleveland, they lost to, I think it was their 3rd game of the season or something like that. I don't know if I really count that game. Just like I don't really count that first game against Boston, just because like beginning of the season, and then that Cleveland game was really weird. Like it was odd, but Cleveland has just proven itself to be a different echelon of team so far, and the Knicks have proven that they're not there yet. So we have to see. They got to show me. So until they can show me that they're going to beat the best teams in the East, I got to go with 1 and 2. I think they'll beat the Bulls, but second leg of a back-to-back against the Cavaliers, and then wait, did the Cavs have a back-to-back too? Let's see if the Cavs are playing a back-to-back. I don't know if they are. I'm about to check for us real quick.
But I mean, yeah, I think I'm with you, Chris. I mean, anybody that's shout out to you, Charlotte. Shout.
It is a back-to-back for the Cavs too, though. We should say they play Brooklyn and then they play Cleveland. So I mean, then they play the Knicks. So
they're probably gonna rest people against Brooklyn.
Yeah.
And they're gonna play everybody against us. And I wouldn't be surprised if the Celtics does something similar.
Yeah.
Look, I don't even know if we see Mitch. Like, I know he's played the 5-on-5, but
nah, me and Charlotte were just talking about it. We don't think he comes back until
Mitch is not coming back till March.
I don't know. I don't know if it'll be
right
March, but I do know that like he's still got to get into game shape. And we're talking about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 games until. Oh wait, no, this is that's Cleveland's schedule. Hold on, where are we at? How many games left do we have? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 games left in February for the Knicks. So do we see him in a week? I don't know. I don't know if we see him in a week. Do we see him in 2 weeks? I think so, right? So
I also don't want us to rush him back. I don't think fans are content. Not content. Yeah, obviously nobody's content. Like we won a championship yesterday. But the progress, at least I've been down on this team all year, and like I feel like I'm coming down to having more patience because I think we're getting out of the mud at this point. I think we are turning it around and getting out of the mud because I didn't expect to see the January that we just had coming off of the November / early December. I know December was good, but obviously we're a better team than we were in November and December. But are we that team that we think, meaning the fans? And, even you guys, all the beat reporters close to the team, after every game, following the team here and there, like, are we there? I still firmly think that we're a year away. Anything can happen. Anything can happen in the playoffs. You could get injuries. I'm not banking on injuries. They do happen every year, though, to some team. Happened to us last year.
I think there is a pathway to this team being competitive, and that's Mitch coming back just shakes up the rotation in a way that alleviates the minutes load on the wings, and alleviates the minutes load on the wings because you're able to play dual bigs with either Cat and Precious, Mitch and Precious, or Cat and Mitch, right? So now you only have to play two of those main three wings, and then you can put Deuce in, you can put whoever in, and now Josh is getting a rest, or Mikhail is getting arrested, or OG is getting a rest. I think we've got to make sure OG and Josh, in terms of wings, because Mikhail has proven he can play. It don't matter what's going on, Mikhail. He's going to be on the floor. It don't matter if someone just ran onto the court and tackled him. He's going to get up and play, and then he'll play in the next leg of a back-to-back the next night. I don't have any worries about Mikhail. Josh is wearing down. OG is wearing down. These guys they got to be minutes watched, right? And what's the best way to do that? When you've got a guy like Mitch coming back. But this is where it gets tricky, because if you overload Mitch and attempt to alleviate other guys' minutes, now you're creating a whole issue. So I think we see Mitch on a significant minutes restriction once he comes back, and then we start to see that leash get pulled a little bit. But once he's in a place where he can give you 20 minutes a night or so, that's going to be the addition that this team needed. And then if you can go ahead and add another wing on top of that to kind of then continue to stagger guys in and out, you're cooking. But I think in terms of Mitch's impact, what he's going to be able to do on both ends of the floor once he's healthy, I think people are forgetting how good this team can be when he's in the paint. Because a lot of this team's issues have been what? Can't protect the paint, not securing rebounds, right? And then second chance opportunities are giving up, and then second chance opportunities they're not creating because they don't have a guy like Mitch out there, right? So that addresses a lot of these things. And then size altogether, just a lack of size in general. You're telling me you're bringing a 7-footer off the bench, and you're probably bringing with him Precious Achiuwa too at the same time, and Deuce. Come on, it's going to be tough. So I don't want to count the Knicks out. I don't think we've seen their best defense yet. I don't think we've seen their best basketball yet. But at the same time, you're putting a lot of stock in a guy who is coming back from an injury and has had the same injury twice over the last season now. So it's tough. So we'll see.
It's not good. And I think the Knicks trying to say, oh, like, we're getting OG and Mitchell Robinson back. That's like our trade deadline acquisition. I'm like, I don't know. I'm gonna pause and say.
I mean, it is to a certain extent the way you look at it. Like,
I get it. I get that, but
Charlotte, we're not actually able to. I was talking to James Edwards earlier.
Stan, move your camera so it's not on one side. By the way, just
what's that? Oh,
it's bothering me. My OCD is killing me. Sorry.
Oh, sorry. I gotta get.
You're not in the center, and it's bothering.
Yeah, it's not centered whatsoever. Bro, it's off center.
No, but I was saying, like, Chris, I think that the fans don't understand this, because can you, by chance, explain what the Knicks are doing at practice? Because fans are thinking, no, I'm serious. Like, fans are thinking these guys, it's the starters being mixed between the bench, and they're playing two teams, 5-on-5, full game, full press, like an actual game. And then the next day they're playing a basketball game. Can you just explain to fans, if you can, if not, it's okay, what is going on?
Well, I'll keep it a bean. We don't get to see much of practice at all. We don't get to go in and watch practice. It's not like I'm in there just watching everything, taking notes. I wish life was that good. We don't get it. Like, we don't even get to see the end of practice. But from talking to players and from what Isaiah Hartenstein has said and what Josh Hart has said about practice, the guys who play a lot of minutes don't practice hard, don't practice a lot. Practice is usually reserved for guys who are, not to say practice is reserved, but the hard run-in, the mileage that gets accrued in practice is usually placed on the guys who really aren't seeing too many minutes or might be on the end of the rotation or not in the rotation at all. A lot of film work. But there is still a lot of, in terms of this team, when you consider Mitch hasn't played with anybody this season, right? OG is coming back. OG is coming back, and Mitch is coming into the fold at the same time. guys have to get these reps in practice, right? So for a guy like Mitch, who's going through individual drills, then 1-on-1, then 2-on-2, then 3-on-3, then 4-on-4, and then you get to 5-on-5, the guys around him need to be going at a certain speed to be able to get him up to speed, right? So there's that. But on the other side of it, I guarantee you, we got a back-to-back coming up. If the Knicks have practice anytime between that back-to-back and that Celtics game, those guys who played in both of those games are not running up and down the floor. They're not running themselves into the dirt. Like, I think Tibbs gets a bad rap for that. And some of it, you know what I'm saying, you look at Josh and Mikhail and OG and Jalen and Kat, where they rank in minutes played, you understand, okay, well, some of that is valid, but at the same time, it's not like they're playing all these minutes and then going to practice and then practice in 48 minutes too. Like, no, it don't work like that. So
I don't think the usual
Tibbs is crazy, but he's not that crazy. All right, Tibbs told us he spent the All-Star break at Club Tarrytown. That's what he said. He spent the whole break at the training facility. The man is psycho, but he's not that psycho to where he's going to run his players into the dirt. Like, that's not going to happen.
But I say thank you for that explanation, but I don't think that fans understand that. And that's where the misconception about Tom Thibodeau comes in.
Yeah. There's already not a lot of practice time, right? If the Knicks are playing, let's just look at the schedule, right? Because we were talking about this at practice earlier. Like, when is the next time the Knicks are going to practice? So you have a back-to-back Thursday, Friday. Saturday, they're not going to practice because it's right after a back-to-back. You're not allowed to practice then. Sunday, there's a game. Monday, you're not going to practice after that game, or you might because it's a 1 p.m. game, so there could be practice Monday. But if there's not, there will definitely be practice on that Tuesday before the Sixers game on Wednesday. After that, you've got a game on the 26th to 28th. You got a game on the 2nd, the 4th. You got a game on the 6th. You got a game on the 10th. Like, there's not that much practice time anyway. That's one of the gripes about that players have. It's like, hey, we don't even have that much time during the season to practice. So when we do have practice, we got to take advantage of it. So I know fans might be like, oh, Tibbs is practicing guys too hard. Number one, there's not a lot of practice time. Number two, this team needs to practice. I know y'all saw those blown defensive coverages. I would be wanting them to run that in practice too. And number three, guys got to play, man. Guys want to play. So yeah, the minutes might look crazy, and the minutes are crazy. They don't look crazy. The minutes are crazy, but they're not running. They're not going overboard in practice. They're chilling for the most part. At least that's my understanding of it.
I just think it's important for fans, like, who have over 800 people that are listening to us right now, to understand, like, not fully, but like a part, that these guys are not running suicides on the basketball court like I used to do in high school for my team. Like, they're not doing that. Yeah, I played the full game, but I wasn't I feel like it's the people that the minutes police. I know Josh poked fun at that. Unless you, like, played basketball, like, I got recruited for college basketball. And, like, if my coach wanted me to play 48 minutes with my asthma, I'm playing 48 minutes. Like, you know what 100%. I mean? You never want to be taken out. Like, but, like, the injuries. But, like, I heard someone in a space blaming, like, Jalen breaking his hand in last year's playoff on Tom. How does a hand have to do with anything with minutes? I get with the runner's knee, whatever. I think it's like a common theme. But do you know how many players around the league that probably have that? That's probably not being disclosed right now.
Yeah, 100%. And guys don't even like saying what type of injuries they have. Right. I think another thing fans like misconstrue that what players do in training camp is what they're doing in the middle of a season, which is not the case. Like, training camp is supposed to be a lot more strenuous on your body just to get you ready for the preseason, which will get you ready for the regular season. Guys are not doing like in training camp. You could hear the despair, you could hear the sweat from guys practicing. It's not the same in season, right? Like, guys need to rest to recover because more often than not, you're playing every other day. Imagine playing every other day, and then in between those games, you're going 100 miles an hour in practice. You wouldn't make it to game 41.
Exactly.
Right? So
exactly. That's my whole point.
It's not happening.
It's just crazy. I think this, like, narrative of minutes police and the Knicks won't be good until Tom Thibodeau retires and he's never won anything in his career. It's just so disingenuous in my opinion.
Look, people got to narrate, they got to narrate the story. You know what I'm saying? The narrator got to narrate, so we have a lot of narrators on Twitter. That's my opinion when people everybody knows who they are. Yeah. Shout out to State. But yeah, man, this is what our fan base does. I will say probably 30 to 40% of our fans know, like, all the ins and outs. we're a pretty smart fan base for the most part.
Lower, a little lower.
Maybe lower. Maybe 20.
Charlotte. Oh my goodness. Have some.
Chris, you scroll. Don't lie. You scroll through Twitter sometimes.
We have a lot of casual fans because it hurts too much to be like a full. I talked about this earlier. Like, it hurts too much to be like a full on, just die hard, wear your heart on your sleeve every game, cover every game. Like, it's tough. Charlotte, we've been doing this for 3 years.
Yeah.
We're Chris and and Ian. He's like, what?
Yeah.
Cover all these games, and then it's like we gotta, deal with state yelling at us after post games and stuff like that. Like, it takes a lot out of you, to go through it all. So the fans become very knowledgeable, but I think you kind of have to stay a casual a little bit just because it hurts when you're not winning. And it's easier to just kind of take a step back and be a little bit of a casual.
That's fair. Chris, I got this DM from someone. Someone said, can you please ask Chris if he's heard anything on Chris Duarte? Chris, get it? LOL.
I have not. We mentioned this earlier. I cannot confirm the Chris Duarte report. I don't think that we're going to see anything in terms of signings for more than another week. And then Charlotte touched on it. Like, if you're going to add something to this team, right, I think you would look at the wings and say we need a little bit more size on the wings, which is what I've been writing for the New York Daily News for God knows how long now. You can't continue to just play OG and Mikhail and Josh 40-something odd minutes. You need some depth, but you also can't rely on Deuce or Landry or Cam to be able to guard up a position every time, right? You need somebody who can play that. But who can you get when you're this close to the salary cap, right? Or when you're this close to the hard cap, the second apron. So it's tough, but I guess we'll see. I think it's also tough for me to look at someone who is reporting in a different country or whatever it is and automatically discredit their reporting because he might just be premature. We've seen that all the time. He could be premature. There could be something in play and we don't know.
He's a Dominican, Chicago-based reporter. He does stuff in the MLB.
He's not he's probably right, but he's probably premature. But obviously, you can't confirm it until it's confirmed.
Yeah. So
I've been told he's not a guy that makes stuff up. From Knicks fans who follow him, and I'm like, but
apparently there's a Chris Duarte, Karl Anthony Towns relationship situation going on.
They played on the Dominican Republic team together.
Played on national team together.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody gets
Cat's been on the Dominican Republic team since he was 16. Chris has been there for a while too. They're
going to start selling Modi Soñandos at MSG, man. I already know.
You get a plátano. Everybody gets a best friend on this team. I swear, man.
I disagree with that because only
Mikhail has Cam.
Jalen has Josh.
And Cam, right? Now you have possibly Towns and Duarte. Possibly. I mean, obviously, we're speculating on if he's correct or not. I don't think the guy was out there making anything up, but obviously.
Yeah.
OG has Precious. So.
Yeah, there we go.
Deuce lost his guy. Deuce and Jericho were like this. Deuce and Jericho were
good. They were really close, right?
Hate to see it. Yeah, hate to see it, but
they were very close.
He'd be all right.
Speaking of standings,
you get traded every day, B.
Yeah. Right now, the New York Knicks are in third.
Yeah.
And right now, as it stands, they would be playing the Detroit Pistons. Yep, you heard me right. Who are in 6th place right now, playing them in the first round.
Yeah.
That's crazy to me. And then you'd have a Pacers-Bucks first round, a Cavs, whoever the ace, I guess, with the play-in tournament, and the Celtics obviously in second. But how would you guys think about who's like your dream first round? I guess, who do you think the Knicks match up well? I think that I would love to see a Miami Knicks first round. I think
everyone would like to see this version of Miami in the first round. I think Miami is the least of anyone's concerns. If I'm looking at this Eastern Conference right now, you got Cleveland, Boston, New York, Indiana, Milwaukee, Detroit. You're hoping Orlando doesn't get healthy and sneak into that 6th seed. But if I'm just looking at this and I'm assuming Mitch is healthy for this run, I think Detroit isn't a bad I'm just me personally. I don't want to see Giannis in the first round. If I'm anybody, it doesn't matter if we've been able to exploit their defense for whatever we have been able to do it. If Dame can't guard anybody out there, Giannis is just such a wild card. that
Yeah.
like I don't want to rely on OG being the only guy who's able to even stay in between him and the rim, right? And then you throw Mitch out there. I mean, would they win the series? I think the Knicks would win the series, but kind of in the same way where that series against Joel Embiid just took a lot out of this team. A series against Giannis is going to take a lot out of this Knicks team. So I'd be down to see Indiana again. I'd be down to see Detroit. I think when you have Mitch, that Detroit matchup looks different. I
think
don't want to see Milwaukee. I don't want to see Orlando either. Those are two teams. If Atlanta sneaks in, I think that'd be a matchup I'm favorable with now that what's his name, Hunter, isn't there anymore. And I think Bogdanovich is gone too. Like that'd be a team. But I don't even think Atlanta's going to stay there because I don't think they're going to be better after the break. I think Philly's going to try to make a run. So if I'm the Knicks, I'm looking at Indiana. I'm looking at Detroit.
The Bulls are right there. The 76ers are a little farther behind.
The East is so boring after like the top six, right? Like when you look at the West, you got OKC, Memphis, Denver, Houston, LA, Minnesota. The teams that aren't in the top six are all amazing. You got Minnesota, Dallas, Sacramento playing good ball. You got Golden State, Phoenix. You got Wemby. The West is lit. The East is looking like, bro, what's going on?
Why do you think that's been a common theme? Speaking of that, that's been a common theme for years now. That everyone thinks the Eastern Conference is not as fun to watch as the Western Conference.
It's not. It's just the talent is different. It's not. It's the level of talent out there is like I'm looking at seed 7, 8, 9, 10 out west, and the 7th seed right now in the West, which has 31 wins, would be the 4th seed in the East right now.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
But look, we're like I've been saying all year, like we're defaulted 3rd seed right now. Like we don't play anyone. Who are we playing? Like we haven't really played like the teams that we play. We have a soft schedule. Like I was looking at the schedule earlier this year. I was just like, there's no reason why this team couldn't validate. I mean, I didn't see the Cavs doing with this, but yes. I firmly believe that the Knicks could be a number 1 seed because of the lineups we had, the amount of, you're not losing much. I thought Mitch would be back earlier.
Yep.
Yeah, I thought this team would easily be a number 1 seed.
I am kind of shocked that, if you told me, at training camp that Mitch would not be back till March, I'd be really upset. I'd be really upset if you told me after the Cat trade that Mitch is not going to be back till March.
What would make you more upset? Mitch not coming back until March or Mitch come back in January and getting hurt again?
That part.
I don't make the rules. I don't make the rules, yeah.
Let that man come back. Let him continue being on TikTok. Man, Danny, let him continue being on TikTok.
Get Mitch off TikTok and maybe we'll win a championship. Let's get Mitch off the injured report first and get him onto the floor. And then we'll see.
Mitch, look, I think Mitch is one of those guys that is highly emotional. He is all over social media.
We all are. We're New Yorkers. Like, what are we talking about here? Like,
not a New Yorker. He's from the South.
I know.
From Louisiana.
He grew up here. He grew up here.
He's our longest tenured Knick. Not a single person on our team except Precious Achiuwa is a native New Yorker.
Yep.
Precious actually understands New York. And that's why when he came here, it looked pretty scary in the beginning. But he's playing such a big part for this team this year and does not get enough love at all on this team. I think if Josh Hart is out tomorrow because of his knee, OG doesn't play, Precious can play. I don't know, Chris. It could be crazy how many minutes Precious plays tomorrow.
Didn't he just put like 25 or something like that?
What?
You said what?
Didn't he just put up like 25 in the last game against Atlanta or something like that?
Precious was hoping. Precious was definitely hoping. I think he had 24. I think he had 24. I know for facts Tom isn't scared to play Precious minutes. He played that man like 30-something minutes in a preseason game. So I wouldn't be surprised. Let's just look at his last few games. In overtime against the Hawks, he played 42 minutes, 26 points, 8 rebounds. He's averaging 35 minutes in the month of February. So, yeah, we'll probably see Precious be playing a lot of minutes. But I think, hey, like, good on him. Precious comes here on a 1-year deal. right? Kind of waives his no trade clause to make it happen, and then gets hurt in the preseason, misses some time, comes back early. A lot of people didn't know he came back early while he was still hurt, kind of working through the hamstring to kind of help his team. Now he's hitting the stride, he's hitting the rhythm. Now he's getting minutes. His next contract could look something. He could walk into a 3-year deal with somebody just because he's shown that he can stay on the floor, play these minutes, play good defense. So shout out to the Knicks are going to need him. The Knicks are going to need him.
The Knicks don't have that money though, Chris.
No.
Yeah, that's the frustrating part about players like Precious, players like iHeart, and obviously it's been said many times, why didn't we do the 3-year deal instead of the 2-year? Like these little things like this. Obviously, we make players.
Yep.
We make players. We let you go get that back. This is why you come here. This is why Leon Rose is still the Dawn. You know what I'm saying? Because he come here, man, make a name for yourself. Go get your bag over there. But this is New York. We're the Mecca. You're gonna be in. If you have a good game, the crowd's gonna love you. We're gonna trash you. You're gonna get all the waves. This is probably Evan Fournier's favorite team and hated team at the same time, bro. Like he probably loves us and probably still cursing to the high heavens. Fuck the Knicks, but also still like would love to be back here. Probably, I don't know. I mean, probably wouldn't love to be back here.
I mean, when he's coming out overseas, basically cursing out Tom Thibodeau, I don't think you have a good chance at coming back to the Knicks.
No.
You know what he could have been used for Sunday against the Celtics at TD. So, he could have been really valuable. But as we're coming off the All-Star break, guys, as we just hit over 1,000 people, thank you guys for listening.
What up?
Appreciate the support. If you're not already following Offbeat with Christian Whitfield on YouTube, please go follow us. If you're already listening on YouTube on this, thank you for listening this long. The players were asked this over the weekend, and I thought it was a really interesting question I wrote down for our episode. If there was one thing you guys would, if you're Adam Silver, what would be one thing you would change about the season? Or if you guys don't know, I can go first because I know mine.
Yeah, you go first because I don't know.
I would make NBA trade deadline day a non-game day. There should not be games played on that day at all. There's people like rosters, if they make a big move, they might be missing 3 to 4 people and scrambling for players off the street. I think that also like it's I don't know. I would definitely not have games. And also I think I think there needs to be a little bit more honesty with the refs when it comes to we have that 2-minute report, but I think at the same time, if the ref called it, they shouldn't be the one. If the ref calls a call, this is my other one. If the refs call a call, they should, and a coach challenges it, they should not be the one reviewing it.
Wait. So you're saying if
let's say Tony Brothers calls a foul on Josh Hart.
Yeah.
Let the other refs without an opinion who are honest review it and you step away.
I think some of those go to Secaucus, right? So like I think it's like a case by case basis. But
I'm saying like
I do agree with you in the larger scheme, in the larger sense that like officiating has become this like hidden process that has no type of accountability. For example, like we're seeing Cat, and I made a big deal of this on Twitter when all I did was go through all of his like field goal attempts and look for when he got fouled versus when he was getting called for personal fouls. And like, it's just blatant. They're just not calling fouls on one end, but then calling for tic-tac fouls on the other. But there's no like process that shows, okay, how is this referee or how are referees disciplined after X amount of poor calls or whatnot. Like there's no insight into this process whatsoever. I think Adam Silver spoke about it, saying like, if everyone's employment record was public, I don't think anybody would like that. NBA players' employment record is public, right? Like I could go tell you everything that happened on any player at any point. I'm sure Adam Silver's employment record is public too, right? Like everyone's, if you do enough digging, my employment record is public, it's kind of crazy. So I think there should be more accountability held on referees because we're seeing games come down to officiating. We're seeing people's parlays get burst because of officiating. We're seeing all types of stuff. So I think I would be inclined to agree with you on that note, where if I did see a change, there'd be maybe a little bit more transparency as it pertains to officiating. In terms of actual product, I don't know though. I I think the league is just in a space right now where there's just too much tink. I would like for there to be fewer like ways for me to watch a game. Like, give me
I like
two
that.
options. Give me 2 ways to watch a basketball game. Give me the streaming option
Whoa.
and then give me the cable option. That's it. There's just so many different ways to watch these games that there ends up being none, right? Like, if you don't have League Pass and you don't have YouTube TV and you don't actually pay for cable, how are you even counting that viewer that doesn't have anything other than crack streams, right? Like, you're not counting that viewer because you're pricing them out. I would like to see it easier to watch a basketball game. You can't even catch a Knicks game on Optimum right now. It's the game's all messed up, man. So that would be me.
Yeah, that's the most frustrating part. I agree with you a lot. I agree with your point too, Charlotte. I think the accountability, I don't think we're going to get it because I think Vegas, like that's a big control factor for them. I personally believe. I think like those little non-calls a lot of times. Like, I'm in the house saying Vegas. Well, like when some shit happens is not supposed to, I'm always like Vegas.
Yeah.
Like that. Like that's just my Vegas. You know, like that's just my thing because I'm just like, oh, they're not trying to pay out anytime touchdown to Jahan Dotson. What? No.
I am just now seeing this comment section. Shout out to my guy Buckets and Goals, Ale. I'm not even gonna try to pronounce your last name, but that's my guy. I believe we saw, is Chuma Okeke a free agent again? Didn't he get signed? He's somewhere else now, right?
But he went back to the Westchester Knicks.
He's back in Westchester. Yeah. So I like Chuma. I think he fits the mold. I just don't know if he'd get any playing time. I think we need another dynamic playmaker, regardless of size, and a point of attack defender. If we can get that in one, great. Well, you got a point of attack defender behind Deuce and Delon Wright. I don't know that we're going to see him play that many minutes. So we'll see. Salute to the panel. Angel from Philly Smooth. Salute to the panel. What difference do you feel Mitch can make versus Boston and the Cavs 3-point shooting? I feel none at all unless our wings step up. That's a great point. I think what he's going to help most with is rebounding. I think what he's also going to allow people to do is like press up on the perimeter because Mitch is back there. You can get beat if you're a perimeter defender because Mitch is there. You can't get beat on the perimeter if you've got, and no disrespect to Cat, but he's not a noted rim protector, right? You don't want to let your guy get by because Cat's back there and Cat's probably doing a bunch of different things. Mitch is going to be parked in the paint, and that's going to allow people to kind of press up a little bit more on defense, maybe try to take away some of those threes, and then he's going to grab the rebound. So you're taking away second chance opportunities where we've seen the Knicks give up the offensive rebound, spray out to the open 3-point shooter, timeout Tom Thibodeau. We don't want to see that anymore. So I think Mitch's impact, it might not look like he'll have an impact on 3-point shooting, but I think the trickle-down effect that allows other guys to be more aggressive guarding the perimeter will help take some of that 3-point shooting away. That being said, the Knicks have been terrible guarding the line this year, so they got to figure that out.
I mean, Chris, we're terrible every year, but sometimes we're not because honestly, it's a laws of averages thing. Like we're not doing anything differently. Like Tom Thibodeau does not defend the 3-point line, does it? Sometimes I remember last year they were like, oh, we're the best 3-point defenders. Okay, that was by laws of averages. Like it was luck. It wasn't like we're just not defending. It's not something that Tom does.
Yep. That was my last topic today. We like to keep it under an hour so it's easier for you guys.
Oh, it's been an hour already? Hey.
Yeah, like
there we go.
Like that.
We appreciate everyone that is. What'd you say?
No, I was gonna say we got a few more minutes if anybody wanted to throw in a couple questions. If not, we can get out of here.
Yeah, I ain't in no rush. If y'all got questions, throw them in.
Yeah, we chilling.
Throw them in the chat. We'll give you another minute. But I think we made good points today. If you're not following Chris, go follow him at Chris Splash. Also,
let's give our guys some value real quick because I'm sure there's some people in here that like to bet that are probably looking at this Knicks game like, oh, who are the overs, who are the unders? So let's take a look at this game real quick. Parlay boys, this is for you. All right, let's take a look. Wait, there's a game tonight. Hornets Lakers play at 10. Oh my God.
Yeah, they're making They're making it up because of the LA fires. Remember they canceled the game.
Oh, this is the canceled game. Okay.
So they're playing it. But if you're not following Chris, he's at Chris Splash, Stan at the Knicks Stan, and then obviously I don't know how you found it otherwise, but at Let's Talk Knicks or at Char Steinberg for me. If anyone has any other questions,
I have a couple questions. We have the Knicks right now as 12.5-point favorites against the Chicago Bulls. Do we like that higher or lower? What are we thinking?
Lower.
Oh, so you think it's going to be a close game?
I think it's going to be like an 8-point game.
I could see that because we had a 1-point game before that the Knicks lost, and then we had another game against the Bulls that they won.
I could see that just because I don't like. Obviously, you're on a back-to-back. We gotta get up versus Cleveland a little bit more. So maybe you pull back a little bit more versus that game. I mean, I don't see players actually pulling back, but I could see that being a tighter game because of that.
Okay. And then let's look at, we have some points lines up here as well.
I love talking betting because then price picks was up.
Let's say we got, in terms of points, we have, wait, where's the player? Oh, here we go. Lines, right? Player total points. I'm trying to find it. Where are the see all lines? Let's see. Now I'm trying to give my people some okay, here we go. Player total points. Josh Giddey, 15 plus points, minus 105. Mikal Bridges, here's one. Mikal Bridges line is at 18 points. Do we like Mikal for 18 or more points tomorrow?
Lower
than 18. I think I'll take the opposite. I think I like Mikal for 18 points and a fast. We know the Bulls play fast, right? So there's going to be a lot of possessions. There's going to be a lot of transition. We know Mikal likes to cherry pick from time to time. Yeah. I don't think I'd be against. I mean, I think this could be a good game for him, a good spot for Mikal. And then Jalen Brunson, there's even odds for 30. Do we like Jalen for 30 tomorrow, guys?
I like Jalen for 30. I actually like that one.
First game after the All-Star break, only played 9 minutes as an All-Star starter.
Yeah.
You can remind people why he's an All-Star starter.
They got to fix that. They got to fix that.
There it is. So we like under 13-point spread, Mikal over 18 points, and then maybe Jalen 30 ball. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see.
I like this. We might have to get my man Really Rails on. He's been a shout out to him. He's on Betting Pros, and he's been knocking out the park. I think his hit rate is like 63% this year. So
damn,
that is high for betting.
That's a fact. Knicks Demon, was the Duarte pickup news a hoax? I thought the Knicks still couldn't sign players till March 1st. We touched on this a little bit, but it may have been premature. Can't confirm or deny whether or not the Knicks have intentions of signing him, but they won't be making any real additions at least for another 10 days or so. So
there you go, Stephen. You got your answer. Make sure to follow us on YouTube at Offbeat with Christian Winfield. From Chris, it's at Chris Splash. Stan, at Nick Stan. Me, I run the Let's Talk Knicks page. Also, my personals at Char Steinberg 4. Appreciate the over 1,100 people in under an hour that we had tonight.
Hey, what up, y'all?
Just wait until we get guests and we can go live with them. You know, maybe get some cool people. So, you know, make sure
to not the little one. You understand? We go nothing. That's all I can say. Okay. I can't say anymore.
Okay. Thanks, guys, for joining. Appreciate everyone. We'll see you on the next one.